time.
Thanks, Jay. I have two questions for you. You were just saying that in order to judge the number of uninsured who are now insured, you have to look at the aggregate. And I just wanted to clarify that Gallup poll that you cited. Isn't it true that in October, when the ACA went into effect, the percentage was at 18%, and then that 15.9% that you quoted is from earlier this month and would not include the surge in enrollment at the end?
Yeah, that was data, obviously, that from that
the first week in March,
that predates the sort of March surge. And I'm pointing to it not as holy writ, but just as an example of indicators that have shown progress in reducing the number of uninsured. There are going to be there'll be other data that helps clarify the picture as we get more information. But that was one. I mean, you're right. That doesn't. My understanding is that particular survey doesn't take into account the surge that we've seen in the enrollments in state and federal marketplaces in the last several weeks.
Okay. And my second question is, for the past several days, you've been talking about how the press has covered the Affordable Care Act, and it's my observation that it's been sort of a series of negative narratives. There's the, sometimes deserved, like the rollout, but some, there were also those, story after story on TV about people who were supposedly disadvantaged by the ACA, and they turned out not to be true. And then there's a 40% number that you're inveighing against. Do you think that with this 7 million figure, which could end up being considerably more, do you think that this is going to be like a turning point, and maybe not with opponents of the law who are always going to find a reason not to like it, but with the way it gets covered, or will it just be, the next thing? I mean, we hear some indications of it now, like, how many of them were uninsured? Or, do you think this might be a turning point in the way that the press covers the law?
Would that it were so, but I mean...
Do you expect that, or do you demand that?
I would just say, I'd say a couple of things. The negative coverage that we saw in October and November was earned, and that's fair. I think, having been a practitioner myself, that I understand that conflict is news, and good news is often not news. There's still a conflict here, though, and I think it merits coverage, which is that there are now many more than 7 million people in the United States who have quality, affordable health insurance because of the Affordable Care Act. And then there is an active constituency within one party that is making it their number one priority to repeal those benefits from those millions of Americans. That's a conflict, and it merits attention. And I'm not suggesting that just because we cross this threshold that everything's going to be perfect on this issue. There are going to be a lot of dedicated professionals working every day on the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. Going forward, we've crossed one milestone here, but there are many more to cross in the future. So I think that the only thing that can sometimes be frustrating, I think, to me personally, is, for example, I saw in a couple of major newspapers today reporting on yesterday that would suggest that it was one of the worst days that the Affordable Care Act ever had, when in fact it was very much the best day the Affordable Care Act ever had. So I scratched my head over that. I mean, the fact is, yeah, there were some glitches in the website again.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Incredible volume, and despite the glitches, which were fixed, we saw exponential increases in the traffic and the enrollments across the board. So, but I get it. We're focused on making sure that the folks that have real stories to tell about the benefits and the security that this law has given them and will give them in the future are heard, and that like everybody here in Washington understands that this is about real people for whom health care is a vital concern. It's not just a political football. And that's why the president set out to do what he did. That's why those members of Congress who were with him and worked with him in crafting the legislation and voted for it did what they did. And that's why years from now, I'm confident we're going to look back and see a highly effective functioning law that has created real change and progress in the way that Americans receive their health care.
Hey, you have anything to carry